Hi everyone, welcome to Smart Semester's Python programming playlist. In this video, we are going to discuss different types of data types available in Python. Actually, in real world, what is data? It can be either be a simple number or it can be name of the person, let's say Pooja, like this. Anything from the real world, it is known as data. And the data has a specific attribute meaning a property. For example, this 10 should be treated as integer. It should not be treated as string is a collection of characters. You will get it to know in this video itself. So this 10 should be treated as integer. This sequence of characters should be treated as string. Now there will be another kind of data like your weight. Let's say 56.5 kgs. Now this 56.5, it is of real number. Like this, different types of data are available in Python. So when you are storing this data in a Python variable, how interpreter should interpret it? How much of memory should interpreter allocate it is defined by its data type. Let's see the formal definition of data type. A data type is an attribute of data that tells a computer system how to interpret its value. This is the first use case of data type. It tells a computer how to interpret it. If you're writing 10, please interpret it as an integer. If you're writing a sequence of characters, you're telling computer to interpret it as a string. If you're storing a decimal value, you are informing computer to interpret it as a real number. So data type of a data tells computer how to interpret its value, what operations can be performed on it. This is the second use case. You can't divide a string with an integer. It is illogical, right? Dividing a string with an integer. For example, if you divide 10 with 2, it's obvious we perform 10 by 2, 20 by 2 in maths. So, certain operations can be performed only on certain data types. In that way, data types help us to understand what operations can be performed on the data type. And finally, how it should be stored in memory, how that value should be stored, how much of memory should system allocate it on the memory is defined by the data type. In Python, there are two types of data types: primary data types and advanced data types. Advanced data types is like a collection of values. We will discuss this in the next video. In this video, we will focus most on primary data types. In primary data types, we have five different types of data types: int, float, string, boolean, and complex. Let us discuss each of them in detail. First one is int. Int, we all know, right? Every number falls under the int category without any decimal point. If you're declaring a variable, let's suppose a equals to 10, a b equals to 30, c equals to 500. In this way, without decimal point, if you're declaring a number, it falls into the int category. If you want to know really how Python is interpreting this variable a, You have type function. If you write type of A and execute it, Python will return class int, meaning A is of int. A is an object of class int. In this way, we have to understand it. And the one most important feature of Python, as we discussed in the video 2, is it is dynamically typed. There is no need for user to write data type of a variable as in Java and C. In Java and C, you have to write data type. You have to define data type of this variable before assigning a value. But in Python, com- interpreter by itself define the data type of that variable. There is no need to declare data type of a variable in advance by the user. This is the first data type int. Second is float. If you want to store decimal numbers, real numbers with decimal point in them, you use float data type. If you want to store height 6.2 feet, if you want to store price of a car, for example 3.5 lakhs, in this way, if you want to store real numbers, Python will treat them as float data type. Let's suppose I stored 37.5 in a variable b. Now if you execute type of b, it will return class float, meaning b is an object of class float. Third data type is string. String is nothing but a sequence of characters. In Python, there is no special data type called char. If you know Java and C, there are two types of data types. One is char and one is string. Char is nothing but a single character. String is nothing but a sequence of characters. There is no such separation in Python. Both of them are treated as string itself. It is a string of one length. It is string of length 3. So when you want to declare strings in Python, you can either use single quotes or double quotes or triple quotes. Single quotes and double quotes are used when you are declaring strings in a single line. For example, hello. You can use double quotes also if your string is going into the multiple lines, like hello, I am Pooja, like this. If it is going into the three lines, you have to use triple quotes. If you print type of these variables, let's suppose I am assigning this string to variable d. Now if I execute type of d, I will get output as class string, meaning d is an object of class string. Fourth data type is bool, meaning boolean. Boolean means we are storing either true or false in that variable. Let's suppose e is a variable, I am storing true in it. Now the type of e is bool. Note down, first letter of true and false should be capital letter in Python. And the final data type is complex. If you have studied real numbers in Python, there is also a concept of imaginary numbers where it is in the form of a plus ib. In Python 2, Python gives flexibility to store complex numbers. The syntax of complex numbers will be a plus bj. A can take any integer value and b can take any integer value. For example, 3 plus 5j. It is a complex data type. If you store it in a variable, let's say z, and if you print type of z, it will give class complex, meaning z is an object of class complex. In this way, there are 5 primary data types in Python. Let's see how memory is getting allocated to these primary data types in Python. This is the main memory, RAM. Of course, anything which is getting executed on a computer should be brought to the main memory, RAM. We are executing a Python file. To execute this Python file, we will get a dedicated amount of memory allocated on RAM. Let's say this is the part of RAM which we are getting allocated to execute this Python file. This memory is divided into two parts. One is stack and second is heap. When you write a equals to 10, 10 is treated as an object. A is treated as an reference. All objects get memory allocated on heap. All references get memory allocated on stack. So 10 is getting allocated memory on heap. Let's say it is stored at address 1000. This 1000 will be stored in variable a on stack, like this. Since a is reference to this, there will be an arrow mark pointing to it. In this way, memory is allocated to the variables in Python on stack and heap. Objects get memory allocated on heap. References will get memory allocated on stack. If you have another variable b having its value 20, 20 is stored on heap, let's say at address x. Now b reference of 20 will store address of x on stack segment and point it to the same address. In the next video, we will go through advanced data types in detail. Thank you.